Hi everyone. I'm bad with numbers, but I think now we have the seventh episode of my podcast. Today we have another Iranian and also Iranian Jew, Matthew or Matteo, if you want to call it so Iranian. My lovely brother. He's a queer Iranian Jewish individual. I recognized him and met him first time on Instagram, and he had a really good speech about how this pro-Palestinianism movement is blocking and canceling his voice because it doesn't fit their bullshit narrative. And today we have him, and I'm so pleased. Man, look, my brother is a doctor, and I know how is it to find an appointment with doctors. It was so hard to get you and
I'm
have this
sorry.
episode with you, but it shows that how much valuable is your time to me, that I was so I was persisting to have this episode with you. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm so happy to do this and I'm happy it's finally happening. So
Me
I'm
too.
glad to be here.
Perfect. Let's start from the last events. How do you feel about the releasing of the hostages?
I feel a lot of feelings about the releasing of the hostages. Obviously, I'm very happy that the hostages are finally freed, or at least the remaining hostages that were alive.
Mm,
I think collectively, most Jewish people, certainly every Israeli that I know, feels like a huge weight lifted. You know, they for the past 2 years they feel like family. They are. You know, Jewish people operate in that way. We consider ourselves one large global family. So it was such a relief to see that finally happen. But once that excitement kind of settled down, it's I for me I can't help but think about all of the hostages that didn't make it home and all of the hostages that they're still trying to locate their bodies. um and then even further than that, I have a lot of anxiety over, you know God bless President Trump. I'm so grateful. I don't think any other president would have been able to do
mm,
this.
that's
But
true.
and that's a lot coming from me because I was never like a Trump person per se. um but I do have a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of talk, sort of acting as if the entire peace plan has been accepted. Well, really only phase one has been accepted and really only partially implemented at this point. um so my fear is that we're kind of all getting ahead of ourselves. People are saying the war's over, the war's over. I'm not
That's
so
bullshit.
sure.
I think no. That's I think that's that's too naive. I can say that to
Yeah.
say that this. I mean, this war was in Middle East and is and will be till we have this indoctrination of children. I was under Sharia law, Islamic regime. You are Iranian. You know that
Hmm.
indoctrination with Islam in Iran. And the perfect way in the say perfect in the sense of colonization and brainwashing children. I don't know if you saw that like several days ago. There were I wanna make a short video from it. There were a stadium in the south part of Lebanon, all
Hmm.
children, and they were
Yeah.
giving Nazi salutes. Oh my
Yeah.
god! I mean, it's bigger than a war. That's
It's
my point.
bigger than the war, and you're right. And it is, and I do think that Trump's peace plan sort of addresses a lot of that. But at the same time, there's two things that I think of. First of all, Hamas immediately took power back. Immediately. The minute the ceasefire took
Oh,
effect, Hamas was back on the streets. They're executing dissenters. If that's any indication of what's to come, I don't think the rest of this peace plan is going to come into effect. Secondly,
mm,
there will be no peace in the Middle East. There might be lulls, there might be periods of time of relative quiet, but there will be no peace until the regime in Iran is eradicated and gone.
yes.
That's
That's why I love you. You will hit the core of it. The biggest problem, the main problem of all Middle East is Islamic regime in Iran. And maybe
Absolutely.
people will think because we are Iranian, we want to exaggerate that, but it's totally true. You know, you have to go for the facts and just check it out how they are financing terrorism in the last 4 decades in Europe and America. I mean, it's crazy.
Absolutely. And I always say, when we look at like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, all these terror organizations, they're all being funded by the regime in Iran. Hezbollah were created by the regime in Iran for the very purpose of, the ring of fire around Israel. I always say that they are the Islamic Republic's attack dogs. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Hamas is their attack dog. Hezbollah is their attack dog. They're doing all their dirty work for them. So I think it's really, really naive to think that the regime in Iran is going to stay intact and that maybe they'll come to the negotiating table, that maybe there will be peace talks with them, that they might join the Abraham Accords. It's not going to happen. And if it does by some miracle happen, I would never trust that. You can't trust the regime in Iran. You can't trust the mullahs regime as far as you can throw them. They've shown their colors time and time again. They're
And I think,
liars.
Trump, although that I can say, like 1 out of 3 parts of my time in the whole week is focusing on Trump's speech. And bro, he's working so open source. I mean, compared to Biden and others, he's always in media. I love it. You know,
Yeah.
he's always open. I mean, I really think I'm living in the best the era of humankind. Come on, I'm a random, I don't know, 25 Gen Z Iranian in Berlin, and I can easily just see a whole 2 hours of Trump's cabinet meeting. I mean,
Mm.
that's so cool, you know?
Yeah.
And I check him, I always go for, and yeah, I'm a bit nerd, you know, it's my type. I'm a big fan of Marco Rubio, you know, I check them all, I see them, I look at them, and I go for these 2 hours meetings, long ones, and I see some stuffs that major medias do not push. For
Mhm.
example, on Qatar, you can see how well Trump played. You know, he said one time when he was passing in front of White House, or he wanted to go to take a flight, and one of the reporters asked that, were you aware about the attack on Doha? And he said, everything that happens in Middle East, I'm aware of. And then he went and said, "No, we condemn it. Bibi has to apologize. That's wrong." And then he gave executive order for empowering the security of Qatar because they are our allies. He plays well, and in my opinion, I think snapback mechanism by Europe, which I
Mhm.
think behind the scene, Marco Rubio and Trump, they had a really really big impact to activate it. But because these European governments, they are so drowned into appeasement policy. You know that, they will appease even with the devil himself. I don't know what's wrong with.
They're literally appeasing the devil himself.
And I don't know how they can just ignore the consequences. I mean, I'm fascinated by that.
I think
And
it's because, I mean, listen, sorry to cut you off, but like,
no, no, go for it.
all it takes is to look at their trade deals with the regime. Germany is still the regime's largest trader, right?
Mm.
Certainly largest European trader. So that's, to me, it's like you just look at the numbers. So whatever you always want to look at people's actions more than their words. And it's about money. They'd rather keep everything calm and keep their trade deals in place. And that's it. That's what I think.
And it's dumb, really. I mean, trade numbers between Germany and Iran is not that much huge, but
Mhm.
still, like, they are looking after that small piece, and they are ignoring the fact that how much trade they can do with a free Iran. Just
That's the
tourist,
part that confuses me the most.
yeah, you see, I mean, just touristic industry will bring billions of, not, I'm not talking about millions, billions of dollars into the economy of Iran, into the economy of Middle East. Even a really really big monopoly of economy for Europe and Iran, because the people in Iran that they are you know, getting profit from tourism industry, they will go and they will have a trip in Berlin, for example, you know, in Germany. So that's a healthy monopoly of economy, you know, money. But I mean, I'm so fascinated by. Did you see? Oh my God, Trump! Did you see that video meme from Trump that one time even before his election, uh, a person in the crowd shouted, "Gays for Trumps! Gays for Trumps!" One person, and he said, Trump said, "Gays for Trumps, where are they? Who are you? Where are you?" And he looked at the guy and he said, "You don't look gay." It's just Trump, you know. Gays for Trump. You don't look gay. Oh my God. But in general, as a leftist, I'm really, really happy that Kamala Harris didn't get elected. What do you think about
Oh,
that?
listen, I don't think any of what we're seeing happening in terms of Israel right now would have happened if Kamala were elected. I think um, there were so many, like the Democratic Party has just gone so downhill since,
Mm,
you know, the time of Bill Clinton. I think after Bill Clinton, it was just kind of game over. And it's getting worse and worse. And I think that became very evident to me, certainly, while Biden was in office. Um, Specifically, I want to say how he dealt with the regime in Iran or didn't deal with the regime in Iran. And then also, you know, at the beginning of the war, the Hamas Israel war, like he came out very strong. And I think we were all very appreciative of that. But then it started to wane and it started to be unclear. And I think what Trump offers is a voice of, he's clear. We know there.
mm,
I don't feel like there's any, I mean, of course there are, but it doesn't feel like there's things going on. Like he doesn't present himself one way and then do something other than what he presents himself as. Whereas I felt like with Kamala Harris, like my I was suspicious all the time. Like, for example, like seeing when I saw those images come out of her in Dearborn, Michigan, meeting with somebody who was affiliated with the regime in Iran, it freaked me out. What is that? Like, I don't want to see that. So, as an Iranian person, my suspicions were up, right?
yeah.
And this is, I don't want to get into who I voted for or who I didn't vote for. That's irrelevant. This is
Mm.
all just the way I see it. Like I've never been a fan of Trump's, but I believe in giving props where props are due, and I think that he's in certain aspects, specifically when it comes to Israel and when it comes to the Middle East, I think he's doing an incredible job. With that said, I do have reservations. I'm very confused about the whole situation with Qatar. Qatar has been
Uh,
funding Hamas for decades. They've been pouring billions of dollars into the West to influence young minds, specifically in universities and in academia.
yeah.
So I'm a little confused by all of this. Just in terms of, I understand, oh well, if we can bring them to the table and negotiate with them, and maybe then we can build peace. But it's like, hey, how far does that go? Like building a Qatari base in the U.S. seems a little too far to me, but okay. Um,
I mean, it will be American base funded by Qatar. Like,
I don't know the specifics of it, but I don't understand why it needs to happen at all.
hmm.
I don't understand why Qatar needs to have any kind of involvement in that,
and
whether it's an American base or not. I
it's
I
so
guess what I'm
yeah.
coming
Go
what
for
it comes down to is I don't trust them. I don't understand
Qataris.
how Qataris. I don't trust them
Hmm.
at all. Um, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes? I don't know. I
I mean,
guess time will tell.
it's basically a tribe. I mean, it's barely a country, Qatar.
Right.
I mean,
Well, it's
it's
a very
just,
rich country.
and it's so interesting. Like 67, according to my research, 60-70% of their revenue, I mean, national revenue, it comes from Pars Janubi gas reserve. You know, the South Pars. Okay, it
Yeah.
belongs to Iran also,
Yeah.
and they are extracting gas way faster than Iran. But although that Islamic regime is a dumb regime, they don't care about that country. They just care about their Shia, radical, loyal, spectrum and people.
Hmm.
They've never, and they have a really, really big relationship with Qatar. They've never claimed that you are extracting gas faster than us.
Hmm.
And it's 60-70% of their revenue, I think. And on after it, and also it's interesting that I mean, right now Qatar is um, covering like 15% of the gas that Europe needs. 15%. It's a huge number.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, with free Iran, and we will go to that. Why we have also challenges for free Iran. Uh, you have basically you don't need Qatar, and
Hmm.
you will not have a kind of this Qatar that they can use their money to indoctrinate your or infiltrate your universities, radicalize them. And we have right now huge statistics. The universities that they've got Qatari money, they are way like hundreds of percents anti-Semite,
Hmm.
radicalized, and these are chill. I mean, I was always thinking about that indoctrination is for children, like elementary school, high school. Now the Qatar has proved to us that it can be also for universities, colleges. What the? I mean, it's
They've been
unbelievable. I can't
this.
digest it.
This is something that's been in the work for decades, and I think we all just kind of ignored it, thinking it wasn't a big deal. And now we're seeing the fruits of that labor, and it's really, really terrifying. Um,
But
so
how
I don't know.
did it happen? I mean, I ask everyone about it. Qatar is a phenomenon for me. I mean, you can't just ignore it and say it's just money. It's
No. How do I mean? I think there's several different things coming into play in terms of indoctrination of Western universities. I think that when you look at what professors have been teaching since like probably maybe even the 80s, and even before that, like
mm,
you were seeing these sort of specks of this uh, Marxist ideology that's been
oh,
sort of making its way through academia for decades now,
Karl
right? And
Marx, the only Jew that I can hate. I mean, I don't say that I hate. The only Jew that I can hate can be Karl Marx.
yeah,
Sorry
but
for
I
that.
don't, I don't even know if everything that he believed or his theories were meant to be taken to the extent that they're taken to today, but they are nonetheless. And um, I think a lot of professors sort of took advantage of that. And then I think Qatar kind of swooped in probably at some point in the 90s and started, they capitalized off of that, right? What was already happening, and they expanded on it. Um, and I think that just given their, so, I mean, they're essentially the Muslim Brotherhood, right?
Oh,
So,
if I
or,
become president of Iran after the revolution, the very first thing that I will do is that I will announce Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization in
I mean,
Iran.
they are.
It's the
They're like the
very
terrorist
first thing that
organization.
we have to do. These motherfuckers, I don't know, and they are like so secret. They are so mysterious. I don't know
Yeah,
who they are, where they are. Ikhwan al-Muslimin, it's the Arabic one. Look at what they've done to Egypt. I mean,
yeah.
radicalize the whole nation. That right now, 80% of Egyptians they believe if you leave Islam, you have to be executed. What the?
Yeah. I mean, this is really it's a cancer in the Middle East, and it's spread through Europe, and it's spreading through the US as well. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I just know that we have a problem. There's a problem, right?
yeah,
And it's
usual.
very clear what's happening, and people say it outright. When in it's not, it's also been going on for a few years now in the UK, for example. There's now, and in, like, for example, Dearborn, Michigan. I mean, the fact that there's cities that are completely sort of de facto being run under Sharia is really terrifying. And I think that it's a major problem that nobody wants to talk about because it's not politically correct to talk about it. And it's like political correctness it's going to it'll bury us. It needs to be talked about.
And the people like me, I am the production of that political correctness. That I'm a proud leftist, democratic leftist, center left. I like Kennedy, Jefferson, this kind of leftist. And I'm the fruit of that ignorance, and this political correctness, because they are destroying my voice, my spectrum. I mean, right
Yeah,
now you don't have any left democratic spectrum anymore. And one of the problems with Democrats in America, I think, is that they became Marxists. They are not, Democrats anymore. And
very
look at
much.
them. I mean, they had John F. Kennedy, a symbol, a hero, another new class to be a president. And now they have someone like Charlie Kirk. I mean, they are losing all of the aspects that they already had, a positive one.
Wait,
Even
what
they
do you
don't
mean
have
now they have Charlie Kirk?
now Charlie Kirk, whether you like it or not, he became the symbol after John F. Kennedy. The assassination, and also, you
Oh,
know,
I see what you're saying. Right, right.
and
Yeah,
also the bragging of these motherfuckers about his death. I mean, I don't accept his stuffs. I'm 100% against most of the stuff that he was advocating for.
right.
Additional, I am an atheist. But about his death, how can you be that much happy? I mean,
I
you
don't
know,
know. I mean, there's this lot of hysteria, it seems, on the far left and on the far right, but more so on the far left from what I see. It's like this weird funneling of people's anger through these sort of uh, public figures or Israel or whatever it is. They funnel their anger through it, and it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And I'm a product of the left as well, and I never thought that this is what, they have a terrible habit of overdoing everything on the left. Political
mm,
correctness is good to an extent, right? I think.
no,
I, well, okay, let me rephrase that.
go for it.
Being polite is good, okay? So, in
Being
other words,
considerable,
being considerate is good,
yeah,
right? Which I
considerate,
think
right?
was what the point of political correctness was supposed to be. You don't want to insult someone based on their appearance or based on their race or based
Mm.
on their creed or sexual identity, whatever. Somehow that flung so far over to the left that now it's just become insanity,
Cancel
right?
culture. I mean, they
It's
call it.
become cancel culture. It's become
Yeah.
it's okay to chant and celebrate the death of somebody because you disagreed with him, right? Say what you will about Charlie Kirk, but he wasn't Hitler. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like the whole world's gone a little bit crazy, and I'm also very, very nervous about what happens once Trump is out of office because I don't. What I'm seeing on the right
Yeah.
is just as scary as what's happening on the left. And I think it's really easy for people to say things like, "Oh, well, it's just a fringe group, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons," and But when you look at statistics, they show that, for example, Israel is not to keep going back to Israel, but it's a great indicator of where people's minds are at. And even amongst the Christian
Yes.
right wing, the age 18 to 24 bracket is getting increasingly more and more anti-Israel. Okay, that's
Mm.
first of all. Second of all, as I was beginning to say before, all of the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, all of these kinds of what we call alt-right, it's really easy to point at them and say they're on the fringe, but you forget that 5, 10 years ago on the left, we pointed to the Squad and said that's a fringe voice. And now it's not. Now it's the dominant voice. And we're seeing now,
Yeah.
for example, uh, the mayoral race in New York with Mamdani. Like, I really think if he wins that, like,
Oh
it's
my
just another, it's sort of game over. I think it's the beginning of the end for the U.S.
what the how's life for you? Because the stuff that I've explained, you will feel it in your community that you will get canceled. You can't talk much about those kind of stuffs. But although that I have to give credit, my community in Berlin, they are lovely. But still, you will understand it. That they are a bit. How's it for you?
What do you mean, the LGBT community?
No, I mean in general. I mean, the community around me, they are leftists, I am a leftist also, but what's the dominant kind of approach among leftists, and although that they are pro-Israel, and as you mentioned, Israel is a really, really good element, and it was actually for being able to distinguish between the Iranians that they are really serious about the freedom of Iran and the one that they will get tricked, easily. And just let me mention that I think she might be lesbian. I don't know. Iranian woman in Berlin. Okay, I saw her in a U-Bahn, in a train actually in Berlin, like yesterday, with her coffee or whatever. She was a really, really big supporter of Jina Mahsa Amini and Woman Life Freedom Revolution. Sorry, movement. It will become a revolution, believe me. This time will be additional also Woman Life Freedom, additional with Z generation. That's the new trend of revolutions, and we will do it, believe me. But she was a big, big supporter, and you can realize it after 2 years. Now you can't believe the picture. She was holding the Islamic regime's flag in Iran.
No.
She was holding it. Why? Because she is so pro-Palestine and she wanted to be the voice against Israel that they are attacking our country. But on the other side, Israel, thanks to Israel, all of the people that they've killed, they were a bunch of IRGC bastards that they've
Yeah.
slaughtered us. They've slaughtered my sisters and brothers on the streets of Iran, on the streets of my goddamn country.
Yeah.
And you see that this voice will be blocked, and
It
we have
was
this.
so this person, was she, I'm always curious,
Go for it.
did she spend any time in Iran? Did she grow up in Iran, or did she grow up in the West?
I don't have any idea, but no. She was in Iran for a long time. I mean, it's obvious that
That's
she was.
crazy.
Yeah.
Because what I've noticed is mostly the Iranian, at least here in the US, what I've noticed is Iranians that were pro-Palestine were usually came here when they were very young, or they were born here.
Which they were sons and daughters of IRGC leaders and,
I mean,
inside
maybe
Islamic
you're
regime
like my
people.
dad always says, it's interesting. A lot of these people now fighting for a free Iran, their parents were pro-regime back in the day, and now they realize they made a mistake. Ready to get, that's a whole other discussion. But people that I've met that have lived most of their life in Iran, or lived until adulthood, or at least until being a teenager in Iran, and then left, they seem to be a lot more clear-eyed about the whole situation than those who were born and raised here, or who were here from a very young age. That's not everybody, but that's an observation that I made. So I think that that's interesting.
No, that's true.
I also think that
Ideology, brother. Ideology. I
it's
mean,
ideology, and it's also people want to be people, and I think especially immigrants or children of immigrants want to be on the right side of the trend,
yeah,
right? I mean,
yeah.
it's definite. It's not popular to be
Pro
sort of
Israel.
yeah, exactly. It's not popular to be pro-Israel at all. And it's almost funny. If it wasn't such a serious issue, it would be funny to me when I see people who won't name names, but like Iranian actresses or whoever, who are making such a big fuss about this fake genocide, and who are essentially parroting regime propaganda, and at the same time they claim to stand against the regime. Like, that makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, the how I feel about that. And before that we go into the community issues that we will face. I think nowadays we have a really, really big lack of just repeating basic stuffs. Like the world is so polarized.
Hmm.
People are so ideological. They are all in their bubble that they really need to hear some basics. That it's a fact that Muslims, radical Muslims, they can do taqiyya. They are allowed to lie for the sake of Islam and power. And they will lie to you leftists, first of all, and especially they will try to radicalize them. First thing that
Yeah.
they will do, especially they've learned that's the upgrade, after their Islamic revolution in Iran, they realized that, without making any collation with leftists, we have to first radicalize leftists. then they will make the coalition with us like automatically. And after power, we will kill them. And that's fact. That's basic thing that they simply just ignore it.
But see, that's why it's crazy to me when we see Iranians fall for it, because it's not like this is something new. The precedence has been set for this, and the precedence was set specifically with the Islamic Republic takeover of Iran. When they hijacked Iran, how they came into power was exactly what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
They indoctrinated the left. They built coalitions all across the left with all the communists, all the socialists, all the hippies, all the social justice warriors in Iran, and they were the first people to be well, they weren't the
Execute.
first people, but they were definitely amongst the first to be either arrested, executed, or silenced in one way or another. So we've seen it. We know exactly what's
Yeah.
happening. So for an Iranian to be so blind to that is staggering to me.
And
Absolutely staggering.
thank
And
God.
the
Yeah.
only thing I can think of, the only reason I can think of that they would do it is because the minute anybody posts something about Israel and this fake genocide, their views, their followers, everything goes through goes up. I see it. If you go to these people's accounts and you look at their
Yeah.
posts, their regular posts, how many likes they get, how much engagement they get, and then you look at the every now and then their pro Hamas or anti genocide, whatever the fuck you want to call it, post. All of a sudden, it's shot up, right?
Yeah. It's
And
trend.
I think that's I think it's disgusting. I think it's so vile. I think it shows a lack of integrity and like such a lack of integrity that it makes me sick to my stomach, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, I mean it's true. I last time. I mean, not the last video that I've uploaded. The one that I will upload it like tomorrow or the day after it. It was a demonstration from Pro Palace like 3 days ago,
Mhm.
and it's unbelievable. I've talked with. I think he got born in Germany, but he had Arabic background. He was Muslim, and he was working for in what's it called, funerals, the Islamic funerals, to have that, washing the body, this kind of stuff in the Islamic way. And he was a young man, and I've asked him that we had a talk, under those. I mean, you will see. You have to see the video. Oh my god! Uh, but we've talked a bit, and he told me. I mean, we went to Islam, and he said, "Why do you think that a country shouldn't be Islamic?" I was like, "You think that a country must be Islamic?" And he said, "Absolutely." I mean, we were talking in German, and he said, "Yeah, I mean, Islam is the true." And he was a really nice boy, and that will scare the shit out of me. I mean,
It
he
should.
was he was a nice man. He was a nice boy. Unlike the rest of them, that they were 10,000 people, and they were attacking me like in the 2 meters police forces, Berlin police forces. They were beside me
Oh
to avoid
wow.
their attack. I mean, and he was telling me that that was his belief, that Islam is the true word, that it has to be implemented. And I'm fascinated by that. That nice people with their personality, that they are Muslim and they are young. They believe that Islam is the true word of God and it has to be implemented. And I don't know, are they blind about the consequences of all the 50 whatever Islamic states?
No, I don't know. It's an interesting phenomenon to delve into. Listen, I don't give a shit what people believe. I really don't.
I mean, that's called
Be
democracy.
whatever
We
religion. I
shouldn't.
know. I don't care if he like the because it's interesting because you said, oh, he believes that Islam is the true word. And I was like, okay. And then the next sentence was, and he believes that every country or that they should take over everything. That's where I'm like, okay, it's crossed the line. And I think it's fascinating to try and figure out at what point, like, how much of that is just the basis of that religion? I don't know. I wasn't raised Muslim. I was raised around Muslims, but they were all Iranian Muslims. So none of them were really Muslim, They were
Yeah.
just like by name only.
The most secular Muslims on planet Earth, I can argue that they are Iranian Muslims.
The most, literally. Like they celebrate Nowruz. They don't celebrate, I don't know, whatever else. But like It's crazy to me. And I don't understand, because also, like, I feel like every, at least of the three Abrahamic religions, they have these kinds of elements of in them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a scholar of theology, but I'm presuming.
No, about
Valley,
Islam, you're right. I mean, it's a. I always say that Islam. Just open the Quran. Islam, this religion, is an open source colonization plan. Perfect. I mean, considering Hadith also, you have
mm,
everything. You have everything. Jihad. I don't know. Extra tax jizya. You have. I don't know. Taqiyya. Even you have one of my friends that we had a podcast, Yanai, I think fifth episode. He told me yesterday about Hodaya, yeah, something like that. Khod'e or something like that. That Muslims are allowed even for wars to accept the peace deal, but fake acceptance in order to attack after it. That's what Muhammad did. I mean, it's
but that's
open
crazy to
source.
me. Like, there's no movement to reform. I don't understand. I guess I just have a lot of questions, and I just don't like when you see people that are saying like Islam is the religion of peace, or you meet where I've known people, like I had coworkers, or I knew people who were observant Muslim. I had two coworkers in a place I used to work a number of years ago, and
Mm,
they both wore hijabs. One was Iranian, and that was actually the first time in my life I ever knew an Iranian woman who was a hijabi. The first time. And the other one was, she was from like Bangladesh or something, somewhere,
mm,
not Bangladesh,
Pakistan,
some somewhere over there by India. Not
Myanmar.
Pakistan. No, no, no.
Also,
Anyway,
okay.
they were the one who was from uh Bangladesh or wherever. She was super like liberal and this and that, and I just, at the time, I didn't know what I know now, and I just now look back and think like, I don't understand. So does she believe the actual tenets of the religion she claims to subscribe to or not? Because to me now, I'm like, if you're wearing a hijab and everything, I presume you know everything that's in the religion. And if you do, are you ascribing to that, or are you one of these people who's saying, well, we don't observe all of it, or we think it should be reformed? And if you think it should be reformed, then why are you still so anti-Zionist? You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of questions, I guess, and I sort of resent the fact that we live in a culture and a time in the West where we're not allowed to ask those questions because it's considered politically incorrect, while we're watching like half the world burn around us in the name of this religion. So again, I don't care. I believe that people have the right to believe whatever they want to believe. But once you cross that into making that the law of the land, that's when I have an issue. I don't want it imposed onto me. And more we're seeing this ideology of Islam is here to take over. You just said it. A young guy who's a perfectly nice guy who was born in Germany or at least raised in Germany believes that. That's crazy to me.
And he
And there's no,
says it to
and
you. I mean,
the only sorry, I just want to say this too. The
no,
only
no,
thing that
go
I
for it.
have it to compare to is to Judaism, because that's the religion that I was raised in. I'm a Jew. Judaism is the religion of the Jewish people. But in Judaism, even the people, for the most part, like, it's a very tiny amount of people that are so religious that they live in these neighborhoods that are completely just like Ashkenazi Orthodox Jewish in like New Jersey or wherever they are. The majority of Jews don't believe that we're supposed to live by the word of God. Like we're supposed to abide by the law of the land. We recognize that we're a diaspora community, essentially a community of
Mm.
immigrants, no matter how old that immigration was. And there isn't this idea of, there's no conversion. So it's really alien to me, all of this. It's hard for me to grapple with it and understand it.
No, I mean, I always say that Christianity and Judaism, as an atheist, I'm a radical atheist. I'm against all religions. But Jewish people are religious ethnic group, you know? And first, that's the first point. And second of all, I mean, Christianity and Judaism, I always say that they've got integrated in modern world. Islam still didn't get integrated. I mean, where
You're
is
right,
this
but there's
integration?
no. But that's what I'm saying. There's no movement for it to be integrated. Like nobody's trying to integrate it. It's
We have
crazy.
some. I mean, like in Germany, we have a woman that she's imam, Turkish woman with Turkish background, but she got born in Germany, Seyran Ateş, and 24/7 security guard. And believe me, radical Muslims they hate Seyran Ateş more than me. You know,
Because
because
she's
she's
claiming
trying
to
to
be one.
reform it.
Yeah.
She's an imam, first of all, a woman in Islam. Oh my God, she has a mosque, and also she doesn't wear hijab. Pro-Israel
But see, that,
also.
that drives me to the question then, like, how Islamic is she then?
Um, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, on the east side of the world, we don't see the same problem. They don't fucking care about it. First of all, in China, which I do not accept it, but they recognize Islam as a mental illness. In India, they don't fuck around. I was seeing a video about Article 14 of um, Indian Constitution, and
Mhm.
the guy probably was a far right, but I don't care about that. But he said that Article 14 of India will say equality of equals, and he was right about that part, that Islam is not a religion that the people that they are following it, and I'm talking about radical ones, they are subscribing to the rule of law, and that's the problem.
Mhm.
And okay, we have always a minority. My mom is a Muslim. I don't have any problem with Muslims. The woman, as a boy, the first woman that you will fall in love with, it's your mom. And she was a Muslim, and she's a Muslim still. And the problem is, I've seen moderate Muslims, and biggest problem with moderate Muslim is that they remain silent against their extremists. And for
But that's
example,
see that means for me that makes me question, like, are they really that moderate if they're remaining silent?
good
Because in
question.
my mind, I'm like, if you're letting them do that in the name of your religion, then you must believe that it's okay.
Yeah and no, but that's the point. The our hands are not open that much. And
Mhm.
really, come on. I mean, what happened, Matu? Really, what happened? I mean, I'm just 3 years in Germany, and I'm so grateful to German society that I could finally experience democracy.
Mhm.
What the hell is happening to you guys? When did it
Yeah.
begin? Like that you can't say some certain things about a religion. I mean, what the? It's not a race. It's a
Well,
religion. You
because
can criticize it.
right. Well, we don't, and it's funny because in America, especially on the left, they criticize Christians till the cows come home, and if you say the same thing about Muslims, then all of a sudden you're Islamophobic. And uh, I think that most people don't really know what Islam is. So yeah, of course, and the Islamists and the Islamic propaganda has done a really good job of sort of aligning themselves. Well, we're just another religion, just like the Jews. So it sort of created this environment where anytime anyone speaks up about anti-Semitism, they always have to lump in Islamophobia as well. And I think that, again, it goes back to that political correctness. We're not allowed to question anything like that. And it's really
No.
interesting because the people that scream about anybody questioning Islam are the same people that will make up lies about Jews and spread it like there's no tomorrow. I don't know when this all started. I think it started sometime. I, I think after 9/11 happened, there was this horrible surge of like sort of anti-Arab and anti-Muslim uh, hate that came across the U.S. Right? I mean, we had like a poor Punjabi guy, would be attacked because or Sikh or whoever for wearing a turban because they thought he was an Arab Muslim or something. Happens so many times.
Poor guy. Shit.
Yeah, it's like no, definitely not the same thing. And then I think then once Obama came into office, the tide shifted a little bit, and there was like this sort of that's when this move of real political correctness. This is from what I saw living here.
No, your observation matters.
Yeah, it's my observation, and we were all caught up in it. I was caught up in it too. Like,
Mm,
wow, when I saw, I was young and I was like, wow, he's like the first black president. He speaks so well, and he's so uh, uh what's the word? The words are escaping me right now, but he's just such an incredible speaker, charismatic,
oh
so
yeah.
charismatic, and everything that came out of his mouth sounded so noble and so on point and so correct. And look how noble it is that he's bringing Muslim people who have been oppressed and who uh, face so much hate in the U.S. He's bringing them up, and I think we all forgot that it was Islam that created 9/11 in the first place. And that's not to say it's okay to go around being hateful, but there were definitely questions that needed to be asked that weren't being asked because of the environment that was then created. And then I think by the time Trump came around, the pendulum just swung in the other direction because it went too crazy. It really went too crazy between Trump's first presidency and second presidency, I mean, during Joe Biden's presidency, like during COVID and everything, like it just went berserk. So listen, I don't know. I don't know. That's just my observation.
No, it's so appreciated, and I mean, that's the point. We are so we got used to just sit around and be silent and just let some elites that we don't know which measurement did make them elite, just make
Yeah,
decisions for us. And that's not democracy, that's elitism, that's communism,
yeah,
and also far right like capitalism, other side that they have just money. And
yeah,
about democracy, that's the point. I mean, my opinion matters, your opinion matters, and we the people, we have the declaration of what was that Jefferson wrote, Declaration of
Declaration of
Independence.
Independence. Yeah,
We the people, I mean, that's, we are talking about the biggest democracy on planet earth, which I have to say, people, Jefferson did refer also to Cyrus the Great. I mean, he didn't, write everything based on Cyrus the Great, but he also referred to Cyrus the Great and Xenophon in the book. That's
yeah,
a Greek man, actually the enemy of Iranians, wrote about Cyrus in order to, it was about that how you can be a good leader. If you want to be a good leader, be like Cyrus. And yeah, um, but what about the community? I mean, in your community, how's your life? I mean,
so
you know,
listen, I'm fine because first of all, most of the LGBT people that I've been friends since a long time now are mostly Jewish and Iranian Jews, actually. So it's fine. I don't feel like I'm, any sort of, um, I'm trying to think of who. There were some people in my life who are no longer in my life after October 7th. Like they unfollowed me, like people that were actual friends. They unfollowed me. Actually Iranians.
shit.
Yeah, activists, surprisingly enough.
Yeah,
Very,
governmental
you have
fund. Yeah.
no idea. You have no idea how superficial a lot of these people's activism is. It's crazy. And I believe that they truly believe in a free Iran. A lot of these people dedicate a lot of their time to it. But, when I became a pariah amongst them, the friends, they just all were gone. But valid to get whatever. I don't care. I did care, but I don't really care now. The people that I surround myself with, listen, after October 7th, things became very clear, very clear. There was definitely a very clear line, and I'm fine. It's like you can't really cancel somebody. I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I truly believe in what I'm doing, so you can't really cancel me. I always say I don't care if I have two followers or 2 million followers. My message is going to be the same. So
They've made bunch of us,
yeah, good. We're not we're the underdog here. You know, it's interesting that the Marxism and the left, they're always sticking up for the underdog, not realizing they've created an underdog. And I think when you have the truth on your side, you can't be canceled. And furthermore, if you don't care if you're canceled or not, I don't give a shit. Who am I to be canceled anyway? I don't care. You know, you can't even ask a question. Like with Charlie Kirk, I didn't know that much about him. I just asked questions. I lost like hundreds of followers for asking a question and posting a video of him. I don't care. It
Bro,
doesn't make a
I'm
difference to me.
getting that much cancelled in the last 2 years, 3 years,
Good.
that I'm building my own platform. I mean,
Exactly.
it's,
You
you
can't
know,
cancel people that are like believe in what they're doing. Can't fine, cancel us. I don't give a shit. You think I'm gonna stop saying what I'm saying? I won't.
and they
You know,
don't
and the
have
people
what we have. You know, we have the holy blood of Jina Mahsa Amini. Bro, you can't imagine.
100%.
I get power from that blood. That blood is still going on, and it will wash all of the darkness that we have in our country and in our region. I mean,
Yeah,
Gina's blood was and still is precious. I mean,
yeah,
that incident, and if she was alive, she had the same age like me. She got murdered at the age of 22. If she
that's
was
right.
alive, she was right now 25.
Just
So,
a
you know,
child.
it's double pain for me that, I mean, actually, I don't want to be, I mean, exaggerate. I don't want to exaggerate it or to be poetic or whatever. But sometimes when I have a drink, alcohol in Iran is forbidden, so many limitations, whatever. Especially in the first and second year, I remember every time that I was going to a festival for the first time in my life, in a democratic country, like it's huge for you because you always, when you have party in Iran, you always wait for expect police forces, because
Mm,
police in Iran is not there for protecting you, they are for blackmailing. And police, one of the sacred jobs in any democracy, in Iran, they are so corrupted. Corrupted
mm,
as fuck. You can't imagine it. For the
mm.
first year, I was so traumatized by seeing police that for 1 year that I was in Berlin, Germany, every time that I was seeing a police, Berlin police, I mean, I was feeling something in my heart,
I'm
in my
scared.
chest, scared, stressed, and that gives me really power. I mean, sometimes I say I live salute in that enjoyment, at the peak of that festival, whatever. In just maybe for 5 seconds, I will say salute to all of you that you're not with us anymore. Majid
Mm,
Reza,
mm.
Rahnavard, Hadis Najafi. Hadis Najafi got arrested, and we have her voice. These are history. These are our culture. She said she couldn't talk. They were beating him. Beating her, and her voice was so fucked up because she was always shouting, and she was laughing and said, it, it was written also even in my testimony that the individual um, didn't what's it called, didn't
Wouldn't shut up.
express.
Yeah.
Again.
She wouldn't shut up. Like they couldn't
No, no,
silence
no.
her.
It was there that she didn't express her what's it called, pashimoni. That
Yeah, I don't know how to like frustration, or she didn't wear out. Like
I mean, she
they
didn't declare
couldn't.
that I was wrong, we can say,
Uh-huh.
and it was written in her testimony, and she
Yeah.
was still with that pain. She was laughing about it, and these are the brave young generations of Iran that we had and we still have, although that they've killed best of us. They didn't declare that I'm wrong under beating, all under those tortures. And these people, their blood, bro, come on. If
You
I
don't
can't
even
have democracy, I can't achieve democracy for my country with this blood, with this power, I rather to be dead. Really. And that's,
I'm
you
in
know,
awe of Iranian Gen Z. I really am in awe. Like I have so much respect and so much like they're going to change Iran, and because of that they're going to change the world, and the level of bravery is unparalleled. Like absolutely unparalleled.
yeah. And about the Z generation, we are really a globalized generation. You know, uh,
Yeah.
you can't find that much difference between a Gen Z Iranian and American Gen Z or
Oh, yes, you
European.
can. Gen Z
I
Iranians'
mean,
eyes are open.
you're way smarter, but with the
Yeah.
style, I mean,
No, of
you're,
course. I mean, we have the internet, we have social media now. It's a different time,
and
and
it's the impact of
it's to our
technology.
advantage.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, in the sense of, you know, being modern enough,
Yeah.
we are, in that level. Um, what can we say? But what do you think? I mean, what was the impact of Gina's death on your life?
Oh, it
For my
was a
life
huge.
freedom movement.
It was a huge impact. I remember in 2009 when the so-called Green Movement happened with Neda. Um, and I was younger. I didn't quite understand everything, but I knew I needed to be at the protest. I knew that. And so I went. And then when this happened, it just changed everything. I don't know. I felt such a deep sense of responsibility to Iran and to Iranians. You know,
Have you been in Iran? Have you been there?
when I was like 1 year old, my mom took me. So I don't remember
And
anything.
that's the point that I want to
Yeah.
clarify for the world. That's something absolutely special about Iranian identity.
Yeah.
Because, for example, Natalie Salandaji, you know her.
Yeah.
Natalie, yeah, we had a podcast also with her. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting. You people, you were never in Iran, but you have
Well, we
still
didn't
this,
have the option. We didn't really have the option to
but
go to Iran.
you're still connected to this identity. It's not
Yeah.
the same with other countries, and it's
Yeah.
fascinating for me. I love it. I mean, I see like so many of you, like the Iranians that they've got born in Germany, in Iran, in America, sorry, and other
Yeah.
countries, and they have still a big connection. Even some of them, they can't speak Persian at all,
Yeah. I
but
think,
they have this connection.
well, I think because also, it's only our parents' generation that left Iran. You know what I mean? Like most other Jewish communities, they'd left Iran or left wherever they were from 2 or 3 generations ago. So they're fully integrated in whatever society they moved to. But even in Israel, like uh, Iranian, like I'll go to Israel and I remember going to some restaurant and because I have a Persian tattoo on my arm. So this happened several
Shahla?
times.
Did I see?
Tahla, it's my mom's name.
Oh, nice.
Um, they'll see it and their eyes will light up and they'll start speaking in Persian to me, right? Like it's usually older people. I don't know. We're very, very connected to our culture. I also think a part of it was that during the Pahlavi era,
Hmm.
Jews did very well in Iran. So when by the time they left, they still had that memory to them, to my parents, to my grandparents, and my family members. Iran, their memory of Iran is that. It's the
Hmm.
1960s, 1970s. It's all just prior to the revolution. So I just think the circumstances are very different. And also, the Iranian Jewish community is the oldest diaspora Jewish community in the world. We were in Iran for 2,700 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
Um,
I've realized it
so,
last time with Natalie. She told me some Jews that they were liberated by Cyrus the Great, they
yeah.
didn't go back to Israel. And it was so funny, just a bunch of them, they said, these Iranians, they are cooler. Come on, who wants to go back to Israel? Let's go to Iran. So they are as old as our history, basically.
Yeah. So
And
we were very much
yeah,
part of the fabric of Iranian culture and society, certainly prior to Islam. I mean, there was even a Jewish woman who married a king.
mhm,
Shushandukht was a Jewish Persian queen. Uh, so I think that culture is very much ingrained within us. And I also
yeah,
think that, for example, when the Iranian Jews left Iran and came to Los Angeles, for example, Americans weren't that nice to Iranians at that time, especially right after, in the early 80s or whatever. So they kind of stuck together and we maintained our culture in that way.
And thank to
But
you
also,
people
I do
all
want to
that,
name.
we have this reputation outside of Iran, especially in America, that we are the most successful immigrants. I mean, it's your
We
contribution
are.
to Iranian culture.
We are. We really are, and it's a shame for Iran that all of the brightest people are either gone or in prison. It sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I also do want to name that a lot of Iranian Jews don't want to get involved with what's going on in Iran. They keep their distance. They have an appreciation for it. They love Pahlavi because obviously that was their experience with the Pahlavis were very positive. And at the same time, I've had several people say to me, why are you so dedicated to this? When the revolution happened, people didn't stick up for us. People didn't stop them from whatever. It left a bad taste in their mouth. And I said, well, they're concerned about themselves first of all. Like everybody was worried when the revolution happened. You think they're going to stop now and say, why are you treating the Jews badly? Like they didn't, it was what it was. But at the end of the day, when the revolution happened, also, all those people that were in the streets let it happen. And the first civilian execution was the most prominent Jewish person in Tehran. So
Mm,
you also have to understand the history of the Jewish people. We've been sort of a nomadic people. We've been used to like you have to pick up and leave now, and that's what they did, and they don't look back. So, but with that said, there's still very, very much that sort of uh, essence of Iranianness is still within us. And um, for me, I don't know. For me, it's very important. I saw when I saw all the young people rising up after even before the murder of Mahsa Amini, like my page started out as a drag page. It was never an activist page. And young Iranians would reach out to me asking me about drag makeup and this and that. And I just felt so connected to them. Like it was so important for me. I saw myself in them.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's
on beyond the personal level, like I understand the importance, and I don't think a lot of people truly get the relevance or importance of how different the landscape of the Middle East would be with a free and democratic Iran. It would be
yeah,
completely different, and it would benefit most of all Israel and the Jewish people, because then we have a nation of 90 million people that 80% of them would be allies. And it would be a symbiotic relationship between two indigenous nations, basically.
and I
Um,
have to also mention although that I didn't hear that. I mean, I didn't know that one of the prominent Jews was murdered, after Islamic Revolution.
yeah,
But still, we have to consider that, uh, as far as I know, we didn't ever have a massacre of Jewish people in Iran because we
yeah, we
knew
did.
that
No, we
we
did.
did. We had shit. Ah, shit. I thought
It's
this history
well,
was perfect. Tell me about it.
no, that's a misconception because now there is a very strong friendship and relationship between Iranians and Israelis and Jewish people
Okay.
for a number of reasons. But there was the Al-Ahdad massacre in the 1800s, which was in Mashhad. So that
Okay.
was a blood libel was spread about the Jewish community there, and the mullahs came in and basically had a pogrom. And then
Oh.
they gave him the ultimatum. It's a very famous, very interesting story. Mashhadi Jews are different than the rest of the Iranian Jews because of it. So they told them they murdered people, and then they said the rest convert or die, basically. So the entire Jewish community of Mashhad converted, and they lived as crypto Jews for like 120 years, maybe even 150 years. They lived outwardly as Muslims and secretly practiced their Judaism. They would betroth their kids when they were like 2 and 3 years old to other Jewish crypto Jews so that Muslims wouldn't come, and because it was a thing, like that was a thing across Islam to take Jewish women or girls and marry them, because in their religion, it's the man, right? If you take a wife, then she's automatically Muslim.
Hmm.
There was that. There was also one in actually in Shiraz in
What?
the
Bro, we
yeah,
have a rabbi right now in Shiraz. Come on. Don't tell me that. Oh my God.
yeah.
That's the parts of the history that I didn't want to hear. We had a massacre of Jews in Shiraz?
Yes. A
When? When?
I think in the 1920s, but I could be wrong about the date.
Like
Um,
1920s, like Reza Shah era?
no, before,
Qajari.
I think before Reza Shah. Yeah. So
We are
so
chill. I mean,
basically, who was the dynasty that came into power in like the 1600s?
we had
Safavi.
Safaviye, then Nader Shah, Afshariye, then Karim Khan Zand, that capital was Shiraz. Zandiye, and then Qajar. And
So
then Pahlavi.
which dynasty? I think it was the Safavid dynasty, right, in the 1600s that made Shia Islam the law of the
Yeah.
land.
And
That's when
Afghans
it
invaded. Yeah.
that's when it got bad for Jews, and it didn't get good
Ah.
for us until uh till Shah to Pahlavi, the Pahlavi era. So there's definitely now, because of the relationship we see now, there is this misconception that everything was great, but it was pretty good. Jews did pretty good when it was Zoroastrian, but when Islam came, it kind of went south, just like it did for, Christians, for anybody for Zoroastrians. Uh, that
But yeah,
that
we can
was
also actually we have to mention it also. I mean, I don't want to whitewash it. That's
no,
something shameful for my history. All of us have. So what should I do? But we have to also consider that if it was just about Iranian identity, you could never make it legit to massacre Jewish people because, uh, as you mentioned, we had the massacres of even Zoroastrians, the
yeah,
indigenous, I mean, the very first, the original religion of that country. I mean,
yeah,
and even those people, they were massacred, and that's crazy. That show, and it's so interesting. Let me tell you about that. It's so interesting. Natalie told me, actually, she told me that I've got born in America. I mean, I live in America and so on, and basically I've been raised in a kind of 80s culture, Iranian culture.
hmm,
And that was a really, really big difference that I realized that, the kind of vision that you have about Iranian identity and I have, it's so different because your vision is 80s, before Pahlavi. Mine
yeah.
is like the nowadays, and we have these kind of differences. And I forgot the point. Shit happens. Whatever. But about the solution for Iran. What do you
Yeah.
think about that? I mean, what do we have to? Uh, we wanted to talk about opposition. We basically don't have Iranian opposition. What do you
There's
think
our
about that?
opposition right
Yeah,
there.
I'm a huge criticizer of Reza Pahlavi. I mean,
Are you
I
really?
I recognize him as a really big element in opposition. I'm not the one like a typical fucked up leftist to say, "Oh, no, no, no." I can speak. No, I
Yeah.
mean, I recognize him as a big element of opposition, but he's not the leader. And I think, unfortunately, we Iranians, I mean, that's my statement at the beginning, just we try to see him the way that we like, not the way that he is. I would
Well, let
say
me
that.
speak on that a little bit. So first of all, I had the pleasure of meeting him. He called his people called a meeting like 2 years ago. And I was invited to speak with him, and I was completely sold after speaking to him, first of all. This man is so intelligent. He's an intellectual. He took such an interest specifically in me and in LGBTQ issues, which I meant the world to me. Secondly, I want to name that, I feel like a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is you, but certainly the people that I've encountered who say they are not pro Reza Pahlavi or they don't think he's the leader. First of all, he's literally the only unifying leader that we have, as far as I see.
But you really think he's unifier? I mean, he's really unifying?
I do. And that brings me to my next point, which is
Mm.
it seems like people's opposition to him are not based in anything that he's said or done, but rather based in the reputation of his father. When I spoke to him, And when I've looked up everything he said, he has been consistent since the 80s. And that is that he wants to help transfer Iran into a democratic, liberal democracy. Whatever role the people of Iran want for him to take within that, whether it's just as a provisional leader to help with the transition, or whether they want him to come back as a constitutional monarch, or whether they want him to come back as an elected official, he's happy to take. And I personally got the impression that this was purely out of love for his country and for his people.
No, that's true. I mean, I
And I
personally, as a leftist,
I almost feel, sorry, I have to
no,
say
it's
this.
fine.
I almost got the impression, and this isn't based in fact, this is based in the impression that I
Yeah.
got, that I don't think he or his family really want to go back as monarchs. I don't think he wants that. I think his life would be a lot easier if he could just stay in America, have his family, be a family man. But he is committed to this cause, and I have nothing but respect for that. I also want to add that,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying this is you, but I've heard various arguments from friends and
No, tell
people
me if it's me, I
who
can
are,
defend it. You know, we
sure,
want to show the world as an Iranians that we are ready for democracy. I don't care about your opinion, but we
absolutely.
can fucking talk. That's
And we
what
can
we
have a
didn't
differing
have.
opinion, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, we want the same
Yeah.
thing, which is a free and democratic Iran. For me, in my view, the best route to that is Reza Pahlavi.
Mhm.
But
You wanted to add
the
something.
arguments of people that I've spoken to that are so anti-Pahlavi are arguments that, from everything I've searched out, are simply not true.
Like
I've
what?
heard things like, all he wants to do is take money, he's making money, and he's even said, a friend of mine said this, he said that he doesn't even want to go to Iran, he wants to rule Iran from abroad.
No,
Never
fuck them
said
all, bro. Fuck them all. You know, I'm someone else. Okay.
that.
Um, first of all,
My
um,
point is just that there's no truth to a lot of these reasons. The others will go back to, well, his father did this, his father did
I
that, his
reject
father did
all of
this.
them. I
He's not
personally
his
reject all
father.
of them. No, no, no. I judge Reza Pahlavi based on who he is. You know, I really don't care. Although that I use sometimes some references, but you know, in the legitimate way, I really don't want to destroy him because, you know, if you try and to destroy someone, you know, personal attack or this kind of stuff, at the end of the day, your shit will come up, you know, and the people
Yeah,
will see the hate in your eyes. I mean, people can understand. So it's better for you and your reputation to be fair, you know? And
absolutely.
you know, maybe even in my private, maybe sometimes I'm I'm telling you, maybe I will be so unfair to Reza Pahlavi, but in my private, when I'm in public, I will never do that. First of all, he's an Iranian. Second of all, I acknowledge that he loves his country, especially his father, and it's more especially his grandfather. They loved Iran. Reza Shah is a big, huge turning point for me in the Iranian history, although that he had
Mhm.
some other problems. And all of this stuff I say as a leftist, a proud
Yeah,
one, you know? But about Reza Shah, first of all, I mean, his grandfather, okay? Reza Shah, he's a public figure. He's not just, I think, left or right, this kind of stuff. Okay, that's about Reza Shah, and I think he was the father of laicite in Iran, you know, just pushing these fucking mullahs into their mosques, you know, and say, get the hell out of here, you know, it's government, now we have the ruling, this kind of stuff. And
uh-huh.
he had also, you know, so many big mistakes, especially at the end of his era, that he became kind of dictator, and all of his elites around him unfortunately got disappeared. But at the beginning, you know, bro, he saved Iran. Qajar era, oh my god,
Yeah,
we have the photos. Iran
yeah.
had nothing. I mean, the existence of a country called Iran was under question.
They
That
ran
much
it into
fucked
the
up we are.
ground. Yeah,
And they were calling us Persia. Even they didn't know what we call ourselves. 1% of the people in Qajar era they could read and write.
yeah,
I acknowledge all of them. Reza Shah saved us. Okay, in that moment, Mohammad Reza came. Before Reza Shah, we had Mashrute revolution, constitutional monarchy, and so on, which it had so many also problems within it, but it was a good revolution. Reza Shah came, it was also good. So Mohammad Reza Shah came and he turned the laicity of Reza Shah to secularism. And we have right now a leader from Qawam al-Saltaneh. He was one of the big politicians in those eras. You know, I think you've heard about him, Qawam al-Saltaneh. He was all active in Qajar, I think also beside Reza Shah, and also at the beginning of Mohammad Reza Shah's era, you know. And he wrote a letter to Mohammad Reza Shah because what Mohammad Reza Shah did, he centralized the power, you know, less mashrute, less constitutional monarchy, which it has also two sides, which also Qawam al-Sultanate told to Mohammad Reza Shah. He said, My Majesty, I mean, it's not a quote, but in his letter, the content, My Majesty, if Iran will be successful in the future with your leadership because right now you're centralizing power. All of the people will praise you and they will say perfect. But also consider that if something will go wrong, there is no one to blame other than you. And all of this golden era that we have, it was from like 50s to 60s that he led it a bit. Mohammad Reza Shah leaved it for Iranian elites, you know, to rule the economy, and it was beautiful, and it shows how much he was open. Mohammad Reza Shah, I'm talking about, you know. But what's the problem? The curse of oil. Look at the last 10 years of Mohammad Reza Shah's era. And I consider Mohammad Reza Shah with so many incidents, but I want to go at the end. I mean, my punchline is on Reza Pahlavi. Uh, I consider him as the 30%, at least 30%, you know, participation to be the main reason of the Islamic Revolution. One of the elements, do you know, we have thousands of mosques that got built in Mohammad Reza Shah's era. It was not the same with Reza Shah because Reza Shah didn't care. And that was the right thing, you know? And he pushed it, unfortunately. And you know, the leftists, they were like Soviet Union, you know, bunch of traitors, you know, in those eras. Mainly people like nationalists, center left parties, Mossadeghists, and others, you know, they had a beef. The only coalition that Muhammad Reza Shah had was mullahs, and he tried that, you know, and he was also a Muslim, and on Reza Pahlavi. If we want to judge him with the era of his father and grandfather, we have some problem. But still, I told this stuff just for the history. I don't want to judge Reza Pahlavi on the any of this stuff that I've said. Just when I think about and watch, I will check the last 26 years of his activities. I see projects, political projects, that they were a failure. Go for that.
What were his political projects that were a failure?
There were so many. I mean, like Iran Novin, you know, with bunch of other people. If we want to go into the details, we can go for it. He had like several, you know, that some people gathered around. We see it like now. I mean, like Munich before it, you know, this kind of stuff. People gathered around, and in the last 26 years, and I want to be fair, you know, I just have a kind of question. That what was his most successful project in the last 26 years? Because you know, if you wanna we wanna recognize him as a leader of all Iranians, even me as a leftist, you know, we have to see that power of mobilization. It's important,
But
you
I
know.
think that he has that power of mobilization more than anybody else. I don't think there really is any other
Bravo.
option.
That's true. He has the
That's
biggest.
first of all.
That's the
Second of
biggest.
all,
Yeah.
I feel like if he's had political projects that didn't work out, I don't feel like it's fair to blame him for that. I mean, it's very difficult to try and secularize and democratize a nation from outside of the nation. I think he's trying his best. I truly
Absolutely.
believe
Yeah.
that.
I give credit, but you say mobilization, but that's my point. He can just mobilize his own spectrum. You don't think so?
Well, from what I understand, that what limited polling there has been from within Iran, he's recognized as uh, probably the most unifying voice or the most potential for mobilization. There's more people behind him than behind
But I've
anybody else.
already accepted that he's the only one. So where was where were the competition? We didn't have.
There
You know,
is no competition.
with this number, I know which number are you talking about, but according to which institution and based on, where were the competition? A comparison between Reza Pahlavi and who? Like, we know these names, they are
Right.
nobody. So that's not basically election. And second of all,
But
the
again, I think it's important to go back to what he has been saying for as far back as the 80s, which is that his role would be to come in as a transitional, to help with the transition of the government. I don't think he has. I genuinely don't believe he has a goal to come in and become a king and an absolute monarchist and take over. I
But are
don't
you
think
convinced that he can be good enough in the transitional power?
absolutely. After speaking to him, absolutely.
According to his
I'll
plans,
tell you this. I'll tell you what my only reservation is with him. And this happened specifically after speaking to him. I was sold after speaking to him, but also my only reservation was this man is a big teddy bear. He's a family man. He's an intellectual. I don't know if he's dirt. I don't see him as somebody who's willing to play the dirty side of politics. That's genuinely my only
But I don't
reservation.
see him as a person that he can play as in the world of politics at all.
But
That's
again,
my.
I don't
He's
think
too
that's his
nice,
goal. He is too nice, but I don't think that's his goal. Everything, and again, he's been consistent about this. He wants to help with a transitional government to help Iran
But
transition
Matthew,
into
when we are
a
talking about
democracy.
transitional government, do you know which chaotic country are we talking about?
Yeah,
So we need that much power to see in a person, a leader that we will say this one can lead the whole nation because we want a unifier, And come on, you don't want to ignore that in Baluchistan, Sistan and Baluchistan, Kurdish parts and Azeri parts, and I will argue even in my city, Shiraz, and other cities, I can't see that vibe that they will listen to him. Let me tell you, just honestly. Okay, so on the ground, I want to be pragmatic. The first day that Reza Pahlavi will go back to Iran, the very first challenge that he has is that Azerbaijan, Sistan and Baluchistan, and Kurdistan in Iran. I'm talking about Iranian Azerbaijan people, Iranian Kurdistan, Iranian Sistan and Baluchistan. The sovereignty of Iran is my priority, and it's the matter of national security. And believe me, east side of Zagros is ours till eternity. We've been there for 200, thousands of years, and we try to stay there for thousands of years with the same identity. Okay, so they belong to Iran, the East Kurdistan, Beji Kurdistan. Take the whole Kurdistan on the left side of Zagros, which they are oppressed in Turkey, in Syria, in Iraq, and make a country called Kurdistan. Perfect. When you're talking about Iranian Kurdistan, we are talking about different kind of Kurds. East side of Zagros, logistically, they are different. They have cousins with Iraqi Kurds, but not that much more than that in Syria or Turkey. Some of them I know that they don't get along with Kurds in Turkey, Kormaji. But whatever. At the end of the day, I want to mention that this identities, Iranian identity, is ours. So my point. My stand on sovereignty of Iran. But these, unfortunately, areas in the era of Mohammad Reza Shah, they were not developed enough, unfortunately. Islamic regime didn't do anything and did even worse stuff to them, oppressed them, whatever. Although that Islamic regime oppressed all of us, but you know what I mean. And now, first day that Reza Pahlavi is in Iran, you have a challenge with Kurdish, what's it called, parties, Azeri parties and Baluchi parties in exile. They are also powerful, and they're, what's it called? There are so many people in those areas that they will, subscribe to them.
uh-huh.
And they have guns. How Reza Pahlavi will handle it? Because you can handle it as a politician. But you have to talk to them. In exile, he doesn't have a good relationship with them already. So what's the solution?
I would
Okay,
argue in exile, they don't have a good relationship with him. I think he has tried, from what we saw with the coalition that was formed a couple of years ago. I don't think it was his fault that the coalition fell apart. I think it was specifically because of the factions that you're speaking about. Um,
sovereignty.
However, regardless, I think his job would be to come in specifically as a unifier, which is what he's trying. I think what he's trying to do. I have faith that he can do it, but you can't twist people's arms. So I think he's the best shot we have. And if those people fuck it up, I don't even know what to say to that. You know, he wants to come in and give everybody the
Oh my God,
opportunity.
Matthew, come on. Look, bro,
What?
come on. That was too much as a fan. You literally just told me. Come on. Wait. Talk to me about that. I want to stay on this one. You
Yeah,
literally told
I
me
was about to
that
say,
if they fuck it up, I don't care. But we
no, I
are
didn't. I
talking
didn't
about
say I
our
don't
people.
care. I said that's on them, and I don't know what to say about that. But if his goal is to come in as a unifier and to transform Iran into a secular democracy, which means give people the opportunity to vote for who
Yeah.
they want and what they want based on a majority vote, they will
Hmm.
have the opportunity to be included in that, obviously, as Iranians. So it would be up to them again. He is giving them the opportunity, or wants to give them the opportunity, to have their voices heard in a national democratic election. That's what his goal is.
But don't you think that most of the stuff that he does is based on internet, which is great, which is great. I don't have
I
any
think he's
problem with that.
utilizing the internet, but he's been doing what he's been doing since before the internet.
Like I've lived in Iran for 22 years, okay, and there were never a time, even single time, that I say this thing happened or this damage Islamic regime got, and now as we say, "Delam khonak shod" in Persian, now my heart is cooler. And thank you. That was because of Reza Pahlavi when he was in exile, under those Shariat law pains, whatever that all of us had. We didn't see any action of Reza Pahlavi.
But what was he supposed to do from exile?
Yeah, he says
I
the
mean,
same.
this is the biggest crux, the biggest problem with the entire situation at all, whether it's
But the
him or
question is,
somebody else.
did he do something enough?
I am of the opinion
You
that
know?
he is trying his best. I really am. So,
But he's
I mean,
also kind of occupying the whole area. Because he's a
if
brand.
he is
We
not,
have to know.
let me explain something to you about what's
Oh,
happening in the US with Iran, specifically with MEK. They have a very clear plan that they've been trying to implement for years, and they are in the ears of many US politicians. Okay, and they have no idea who MEK actually are. I'm sure if Reza Pahlavi
what's
was
MEK? What Nufti you mean?
Mujahideen.
Or oh shit! Oh no! What Mujahid? But I mean, they have no legitimacy in Iran. I Mujahideen is
I know
out
they
of
have no
you
legitimacy in
know.
Iran, but they are very, very crafty in how they are approaching everything. They're in the ears of politicians across Europe and across the US, people that have no
Yeah.
idea who they are. They're actually a huge obstacle right now.
Mm, what can I say? Look, I think these governments they recognize Mujahideen as
I
a
think that
bunch
they
of
do.
mafias.
I don't
No,
think that
because
they
they
do.
were in terrorist list of America. Right
And
now,
then
I
they
I don't
weren't.
think so.
Mariam Rajabi she's making her rounds. She has
Huh?
been for years. And after Woman Life Freedom started, she ramped that up. They're looking for any opportunity they can because they know that at some point the regime is going to fall, whether it's tomorrow or whether it's in 10 years or whether it's in
Okay.
50 years. They know it's going to fall and they are laying the grounds so that they can swoop in when it does. And it will be the same thing all over again under a different name. And I really think that it's important for us as Iranians to really listen to what Reza Pahlavi is saying instead of running with emotion, instead of judging him based on his father or his grandfather or whatever happened before. I think first of
Which
all,
I didn't judge him with his father or
no, I
grandfather.
know.
You
I'm
give me
saying
that
in
credit.
general.
Okay.
A lot of people do, and I
And
think
that's
that
wrong. Yeah.
I also think that if anybody is aware of the mistakes that his father made, it's him because he and his family had to pay the consequences for that. Not that it's his father's fault. That's
Okay,
not what I'm
okay.
saying at
One
all.
question. But
Mm.
one of the biggest problem, do you recognize it like me according to the history that small history that I said, that one of the biggest problem of Mohammad Reza Shah was that he was a Muslim, a believer. Do you recognize that? We have videos like he says we want to
Yes, I
bring.
know, but
Okay.
I also know that he was trying very hard to appease the mullahs so that they wouldn't try to take over.
Bro, the guy was a genius. Yeah, I have to say, like give credit to him. But he was a Muslim, okay? What's the religion of Reza Pahlavi, Matthew?
I mean, his uh, religion of origin is Muslim, but believe me, this man is, I don't think he and his family are practicing.
Anything. You don't think so?
I don't know. I
But
don't know.
if he, that's my question. If he is Shia Muslim and he said it, do you think that it can be a downgrade for him, or still you think he is the one? I mean, your opinion.
I don't think he's I don't care if what his religious background is. I really don't. I'm
But
listening to what he's saying. I
but
don't,
that
what is
works.
your question? That he's going to
That's the
come in
point.
and that he's going to come in and instill Islamic law? Like,
No,
that's not going to
but
happen.
the point is, do you know that in Iran right now, because of the corruption of Islamic regime, we have an oligarchy. Those oligarchies, do you know who they are? The sons and daughters of these, the radical Shia fanatics that they are in the face of, I mean, with the form of Islamic regime in Iran. And believe me, we can't recognize all of them. So you have to go so hard on these people and consider that for 1,400 years, we are always trying with Shia Muslim, I mean, not Shia, but basically with Muslim leaders. And we have a country that like 2 3 years ago I've read something from 2 or 3 years ago, unofficial research, that Iran maybe has 20 to 30% atheist.
Mhm.
And what's my problem? He he's never says his religion. I mean,
I don't think he practices his religion. I
no,
don't
I
think,
don't care. I mean, but the point is, you will have impacts of it. With Muhammad Reza Shah, we saw that.
I'm not following I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what the concern is.
When you consider yourself as a Muslim, okay?
Mhm.
The problem is whether you want it or not, you will have the influence of your religion, okay? For some decision making. Come on,
I
in the
don't,
last decades, he didn't show that much independency of making decisions of himself. That's why he's a nice man. He can be influenced so easy. We know that. Come on. You think he's
I don't see that. I've seen a consistent messaging for him since the 1980s from everything that I was able to find. I've seen a very consistent messaging. I don't think his Muslim background plays a role in any of this. I really don't. I mean, his daughter just married a Jew. His wife and daughters all like my posts that are about Zoroastrianism. I don't know if that's any indication of anything, and they share them. Um, I don't know. I mean, it all remains to be seen, but I'm standing behind him. I believe in what he's trying to do. And at the end of the
okay.
day, I think that the way you're speaking about him is, again, him coming in as the nation's leader, whereas that's not even the way he's speaking about himself.
No, I really want say all of this stuff for this 3 4 years transitional time, but that's my problem. And one last point about him. Do you really think that, because it's like an artist, this one will be interesting to talk about it. That artists, you see like what kind of fans they will produce.
Uh-huh.
Most of the time the big fans of some artists, they have like kind of similar behaviors.
Yeah,
You know that, they
yeah,
build this culture. um
sort of a blind faith.
Kind of, yeah, and it
Yeah,
happens naturally, for example, in
yeah,
art. In
yeah.
politics, we have the same. And what do you think about, for example, like his supporters? Because you,
Talking about political tribalism.
Yeah, but you know that the number of radicals in the camp of Reza Pahlavi are so radical and fanatics, and they are always
I've seen
invited to
some. Yeah,
everywhere. You
listen,
know?
I've seen some. I experienced it myself when 2 years ago he posted something, and I wrote. I remember around the same time he was talking in an interview, and he said, "You know, young people they call me RP. I don't care what you call me. Some people call me king. Some people call me prince. Some people don't call me anything. Young people are calling me RP," and he's kind of giggling about it. So he posted something around that same
What does
time, and
RP mean? Sorry.
Reza Pahlavi,
Ah,
RP.
RP. Okay, okay. I thought
So
it's
he posted
maybe
something and I
brand.
wrote a comment and I addressed it to RP. And it was a
Ah,
very
okay.
positive comment. The amount of people that start, how dare you? He's,
Excuse me, is it your
yes,
cousin that you write
Shah,
RP? What do you
put,
mean about
put
RP?
respect on his name, this and that, blah, blah, blah.
Oh
And I'm like,
my
oh,
god.
this is what he said himself. Okay. And I'll admit also, when I met him, it was through Nufti, and I turned to the guy from Nufti and I said, how do I address him? Like, I don't, I've never met royalty before. I don't know. Like, how do I address him? First of all, I do want to name that sidebar.
Mufti?
I don't
Huh.
recognize the
Uh-huh.
Constitution of the Islamic Republic regime in Iran. I do not recognize it. I don't think recognize it as legitimate. So in my view, he is the prince.
Ah,
That's
okay, okay,
that's my view.
okay.
However, that's just a side note. I do recognize that there are a lot of very fanatical people who are backing him, and I think they're operating from a place of trauma because they were traumatized when the revolution happened. If you notice, most of them are older. They were there when the revolution happened, and they did very well under Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. So I do recognize that. Valley, this is what I always say.
Valley means bot people.
Oh,
Sometimes
yeah,
he says
but
valley. Yeah.
this is what I always say, because I've been attacked by people where it makes no difference in the world if I am pro Pahlavi, anti Pahlavi, whatever I am. This is who I believe is the best option. This is who I believe has his heart and soul solely dedicated to Iran and to freedom and democracy in Iran. And that's why I back him. But at the end of the day, it's the people of Iran. I'm not a citizen of Iran. I've been there once when I was 1 years old. Okay. I have some kind of, I don't know, passport. I don't know what it is from when I was born that says I'm Iranian. That's it. I'm not the person that's going to be voting for him. It's the people of Iran that are going to be voting for him or for whoever. Okay. It's up to them to choose who they want.
But that's a
That's
lie.
it.
Come on, you will be a citizen of Iran. Why not? You're also
I don't want to
participating
go in
now,
and
though.
yeah, okay, fair, but I'm not the majority of people in Iran. It's the whole
Ah, okay.
point is that he's going to usher in a democracy, which he himself has said Iran has never had that,
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
and he wants that. He wants to see that happen, and I believe with all my heart that he's dedicated his life's work to that. I
But you
really believe
jumped on
that.
the radical supporters, you know? For
I'm not
example, the
jumping on them. I just think that I don't think that they benefit anything. I
For
really
example, they
don't.
are always invited, and I work with them with in Berlin, actually.
Uh-huh.
And also, I hear and see the same kind of, unfortunately, um, against reunifying, and this culture that they have, that you see the results of it. For example, the last time, like I think several months ago, here they did advertise for 3 months, 2 months, something like that, for Washington. Some of them in clubhouse their rooms, they were saying, if it will be less than 1 million, we have to close the demonstration. No. And at the end of the day, 500 people were there.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this stuff, and I have to tell you, I'm honest, these leftists that they, after the 12 days war, you could recognize, oh my god, how did it happen, now you became a patriot for 12 days,
Yeah.
these people, they use it and it's effective because it was in front of our eyes. And you talk about Nufti. Do you really see Nufti effective enough? That's my first question. And second, because I know what's in it, especially about economy. I've seen the video completely on Manoto. I'm not just talking out on my belly. I want to criticize that for the better results. That's all. But I have contacts, and I try always to get other contacts from my friends um, in Germany, that they have friends also in Iran, in different parts, from Azerbaijan, Shiraz, Tehran. And you can see the disappointment about Reza Pahlavi. You can't,
Really?
I mean, how should I say it? Really, I don't want to, in this part, I'm not even trying to be political, I'm just saying what I've
Right.
heard, and just my perspective about my society. Matthew, it's so fucked up and dark to live in Iran.
Yeah.
You really don't fucking care about any kind of Instagram post reunifying, message. You want organizing on the ground, small groups per Telegram, giving them hope,
But
teaching them how.
where are they?
That's my point. Reza Pahlavi has this legitimacy to build these people. For example, one of the main aspect of fighting for me is Telegram group,
Uh-huh.
Telegram channel, because before Benzine, 2 years before Benzine, protest that they've killed 5,000 of
Oh,
us on the street.
yes.
2 years before it, okay, we had another one, and it happened by Ahmad News, a person that his father Ruhollah Zam, that his father is a mullah, and he became opposition outside of Iran, took all the people on the street with Telegram, Ahmad News. And I could see with my own eyes that, yeah, these people will answer to, mobilization.
Hmm. And
This
you're
kind of,
saying his efforts of mobilization are not effective?
absolutely inside of Iran. Absolutely. That's why, I mean, these Kurdish, Azeri, Baluchis on other side, they have a really good mobilization in Iran. And at the end of the day, I mean, fuck all of our political views. If something goes wrong, me and you, as the citizen of that land, we have to pay for it.
Hmm.
And these are my, what's it called? My
Concerns.
concerns. Yeah. And after it, we will have another trauma, and traumas have long-term effects, and
Yeah.
we can't ignore it. So we have challenges. That's, I can't be
Yeah.
that much optimistic about him like you. Although that still, he's a big part, the big element of opposition. He has to be there, the way that
Yeah.
I have to be here. You know,
I
that's all.
think I think that time will tell. I think it's a very unique position in the world, meaning the position that Iran is in and the people of Iran are in. And like I said before, for me, he is the best viable option. I do see him as that unifier, but you raised some very valid concerns, and I would say that there are concerns that should be brought to him. Yeah.
You've got to the right point. That's the point. I'm a really, really. I don't want to open Pepsi Cola for myself. You know, I have to be contact with fucking Berlin Polizei. I mean, I'm salute to all of the Berlin women and men because of the threats. You know, I'm playing with my life here. I'm a recognized refugee in Germany. I've never had fucking democracy in my life. I can right now go back to my fucking life and say fuck everything. I'm a recognized refugee. I can move wherever I want. Just can say I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I was always the victim of that fucking system. Fuck it, I don't want that. But there is nothing that I want to put on the people that I'm doing you a favor. No, it's for my personal life. It's for me. I am selfish about it. But it's about Gina's blood, as I told
Hmm.
you. It's about the pain. I don't have my pain only. I have a pain of a generation. The perspective and the vision that you have about girls and societies and interacting with each other is so different with me. We are so deeply traumatized. 12 fucking years under gender segregation.
Yeah.
First time that I've met girls, and I'm pretty sure it was for the girls in Iran the same, that they've met men in their university. They were like, oh my God, men. And you're like, oh my God, girls. These are traumas. Bro,
Yeah.
you can't imagine how they've tried to destroy us with this fucked up Islamic system in our schools, wearing hijab, and still is ongoing. So problems are big and
Absolutely.
solutions are not that much effective. And on your point, so I'm a valuable opposition. I am also Iranian opposition. I am on my own army. I don't give a damn. But at least I have my voice, you know? And no one, I've checked it, no one on planet Earth is going with this identity that I'm trying to represent as in the best way that I can, as the Z generations of Iran. It's so interesting. We have Z generation Iranians that they are also active, but no one. I'm the only Iranian opposition that I'm trying to represent and talk about my generation. You know,
Yeah.
and there is no place for me beside Reza Pahlavi because of his, you know, the what's it called, his circle. And I've tried in Berlin. It's and you said to me you raised some valid issues, and that's my problem. He doesn't have that much system. I've seen some people on the stage of Munich convention that it was unbelievable for me. I knew them. They are active in Berlin. In Berlin, they make a protest, like 12 people will go. 10 people will go. You know, these are the main issues that I see. And this guy was on the stage. I mean, what did he bring politically that he's there? I'm not jealous. I'm just telling you about that. It shows the system is easy,
I don't think there is
you
much of a
know?
system. I think that's the problem.
Ah, tell me about it. Yeah, yeah, you are also raising my issues. I love you, man. I love your honesty.
No, I mean, it's true. I think that there's a lot of, I saw this even when every week I was going to protests for a year after Mahsa Amini. And you saw it happen even in LA.
Let me
I mean,
kiss
there
your
was,
hand, like Persian
no, I
flower.
said, but I
Thank you
don't
for
think
that.
that Reza Pahlavi is to blame for that. I think that Iranian people have a lot that they need to work through.
No, no,
In
no.
the af
I said, let me kiss your hand for this efforts as an Iranian that you went to street for Jina Mahsa Amini. That's
Yeah, when I even
lovely, man.
spoke at a couple of them, and every time I said, I see, because every time there was fights. One time I saw grown
Yeah.
Iranian men get in a physical fight in a protest in LA. I was like, what is wrong with you?
Oh,
And you know
that's
what they
another
were
point.
probably fighting
Yeah.
about? One of them probably was a Reza Pahlavi fan, and the other one was probably not, and they got in a fight about it. Who cares? It starts with us.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't start with him. It
That's one of
starts
the
with
biggest
us.
problems that we have. All of the vibe that you see right now, it's so different with Iranians inside of Iran. When I was in Iran, I felt like, oh my God, Iranians outside of Iran, they are aliens. They are genius right now. They were under democracy. When I've arrived here, Matthew, you can't imagine how fucked up the Iranian community in outside of Iran is compared to inside of Iran. Why? If if you can find 30% wise people, you know, between the Iranians outside of Iran, and I'm talking about this wiseness as a kind of democratic personality, you know, and it will have roots in all of the aspects of your behaviors. In Iran, you can maybe right now at least find 60%.
Yeah.
Iranians inside of the Iran, we are so much better than these people outside of Iran with the percentage, you know, like
Yeah.
we know much more really. They brought their pre-Islamic revolution culture and they didn't upgrade it at all. I mean, it was a huge good culture, but they didn't upgrade it. Then you see Adele will have a ticket for $100. I don't know, fucking Ebi has for $300 and Iranian will pay for that shit. The guy is 80, 70, 60 years old. He can't sing anymore. For the last concerts you saw him.
But they love him. It's okay.
That's the
They love him.
problem. This system doesn't produce anything new, you know?
Listen,
Uh,
it's up to those of us who are doing this work on the ground, other young people, to make those changes happen. The only thing that I see that is
yeah.
what you guys got to make it happen. I got to make it happen. We've all got to make it happen.
That's
And
true.
I think
That's.
that this infighting about should it be Reza Pahlavi, should it be I don't know who else, like it doesn't do
I think it
anybody
should
any
be Matthew.
favors.
Matthew, I will vote for you. Really, you can lead us.
Me?
No, really.
Nah,
I
I've
wanted
had too
to.
much. I've had too much fun in my life to work in politics. They'll find some crazy videos of me, and it would be game over.
No, but actually, I think you can really, you will be a really good representer or a person as an advisor or even as a minister or
Thank you.
something, you know? No,
As would
really.
you.
I mean,
As
to work on the LGBTQ issue in Iran. Why not, bro? We want all brains, you know? We have so
That's
many
such a
problems, you
dream
know?
for me. You don't even know. If a new government came and they then by some stroke of God asked me to come there and help with that specifically, it would be the most meaningful work of my life and I've never said that out loud. It's funny that you say it. I've
Yeah,
never
because
said
you
it
know
because
I can make coalitions better than Reza Pahlavi. Unfortunately, I don't have his brand. I don't have his credit because of my father. My father was just normal teacher. But yeah, that's at the end of the day. I want to just close it with that. That I'm just saying this stuff because I acknowledge the fact that he has so much credit. You know, he can gather all these elites and he can make something better and stronger, and he can really be a way for us. But still, I'm just curious for that day to come. And if that day come, I will go beside him as a really proud leftist, democratic one for my country. I mean, I don't care, you know. I want democracy and love, you know. Come on, Matthew. You can't imagine in among those, you know, Iran is the land of mountains. In all between all those mountains, you know, what kind of raves we can have there. You know,
listen, my dream is for that day to come so I can go see all of this for myself. I haven't seen it. It's one of my biggest dreams in life. And selfishly, one of the biggest reasons why I want free and democratic Iran. So I can go there. I can't go there now.
and I will
There's no
argue
way I can go.
personally that you can be one of the main advisors for LGBTQ issues in Europe.
So can you.
My part is more like development. I'm a big fan of development and national security. I will try my best to buy some Merkava tanks from Israel and huge
Yeah.
developments. And also, I'm a big believer of infrastructure and development. You know, because I've seen Germany. You know, and this
Yeah.
country has been rebuilt after two world wars. You know, still the
Yeah.
infrastructure is huge, and you can see the good effect, positive effect of that, influence of that in daily life. And I think we have to just move as fast as we can. And these people doesn't have anything. We have oil money. Oh my God, they just run their country on tax.
Yeah.
Additional, we have also oil. They have something called bafuk. They pay you for being in university. You know, we don't even need to get it from taxpayers because it's so funny. For the last part, I want to mention that it's so interesting how much potential Iran has. The best way to avoid this curse of oil, is that you will invest on, infrastructure or the parts that they can give you economical revenue in the future.
Mhm.
They will be stable economical revenue for the country. For example, I don't know, you will get the oil money instead of just spending it, and that was one of the biggest problems with Mohammad Reza Shah in his last decade, unfortunately. Instead of spending it, you will invest it, for example, I don't know, on tourism. In long term, this tourism will bring revenue, and you will avoid this curse of oil. By a system like Buffalo in Germany, we can invest it to pay the people that they are going in Iran to universities for 3 years, 4 years, as long as they want to, be in university. And can you imagine what a huge impact it will have on our academic,
Huge.
and Iranian elites and technocrats that we can produce? And no, even not $1 will be on tax. It's
Yeah.
all on oil. And I mean, Iran, oh my God, I become passionate. I become
As you should,
passionate.
because I think, first of all, it's not for me to say you live there. You live there and you saw with your own eyes how it is. There is so much potential for Iran. And I think it's incredibly frustrating to see how it's just untapped and it's not being utilized, all because of these filthy thugs who are calling themselves mullahs. It's sad, really, the contributions that could be made to the world. And I think you said this earlier in our conversation, like Iranians, it's really interesting because there are certain ethnic groups, if you will, that have had such a positive impact on society, not in their home countries. And one of them is Iranians. Another one is Jewish people. Another one, I think, is Indians. These people have brought such positive impacts onto the world, and it's so sad. It's so sad. You look at Israel, they call it the startup nation. There is so much innovation taking place in Israel that has never taken place anywhere in the world. And that's a tiny country, a fraction of the size of
That
Iran, okay?
laser defense system, I wanted the
The
first
laser
day in
defense
Iran.
system, the water desalinization, the environment, the tech, the development, it's insane, okay? And that's when people who were dispersed for 2,000 years went back and decided to invest in their own country. Now imagine Iran, the size of Iran with 90 million people, what it could
20,
be.
like 20 or 25 millions Gen Z. Come on,
More,
that's a
more than
fucking
that.
gold for any country.
Can
It's
you
gold.
imagine what it would be? And these mullahs are more concerned with whatever the hell it is that they're concerned with and regional power and trying to act like they're the big dogs and proxy wars and all of this bullshit. And the kids see it. People in Iran see it very clearly. And that's why I say Gen Z in Iran is a whole different Gen Z than Gen Z in the West, because they see
I
things
argue we are
that Gen Z
way ahead of Gen Zs in Europe and America in terms of
way ahead.
politics and, this political perspective. They are
Because it's not a
so dumb.
show for them. It's not a performance for them. They have to live it every single day. And I can't imagine how frustrating it must be to just live within that untapped potential. It's just sad. So I pray that it needs to, and that's another thing, by the way, that scares me with Trump. Every time he says, maybe Iran could come to the negotiating table, or maybe they can join the accords. He's been saying this for years, and it really pisses me off. It's like, no, no, no. You're just kicking the bucket further down the road. The inevitable is just going to continuing being what it is. So,
But I think, what's it called? The punchline and a moment and a kind of element that we can be sure, their approach right now is regime change in Iran finally. Which one of the biggest doubts that they have, it's for the leadership in Iran. Maybe me and you, we have our fans, but why they are not investing enough on any opposition? Because they want stabilized, stabilized Middle East, stabilized Iran, and that's why they don't go one step further, But
no, well, also because they'd rather have a corrupt Iran that's under their control than a
yeah,
free
about
one.
European, you can say that. Yeah, European
And
governments are so fucked up
Americans.
in that sense. I mean, after Trump, especially Marco Rubio, I've listened to the kind of job interview of Marco Rubio whole 2 hours. I don't watch news at all. I watch directly the direct talking points of secretaries and others. So I'm the quite updates about political situation in America. And believe me, their approach is really still regime change in Iran. But I think
Yeah.
the last parameter, the point will be snapback mechanism that we have like 20 days, 15 days. If it will be activated, Islamic regime with all these new sanctions is so isolated, and I argue whether uh, I don't know, just put all of the opposition aside, even me, okay? I wrote that like several months ago. According to it was a really small thing that I wrote. I've written on my Instagram, like April, I think, or March, and that was my prediction that this regime cannot remain in autumn or winter of this year. I mean, the Iranian year, and now you can hear it more because for the last 10 years I was always you know, following up that this economy doesn't work. This economy shouldn't work. How does it work? Because government has so many employees, you know, in big projects of oil projects, infrastructure, and so on and so on, you know, and they were okay. You know, the country was so effed up, but you know, they could, you know, still develop these projects. In the actually right after 12 days war, you see projects that they could be right now, I don't know, 40%. They are right now 4% further, you know. So the infrastructure, and I was like, yes, finally, this infrastructure, because they didn't do any maintaining. It was all because of Mohammad Reza Shah. They built it right like there, you know. That's why from Pars, South Pars, Qatar can extract more gas because they don't do any maintaining for infrastructure, you know,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work. And believe me, at the end of autumn or especially after a snapback mechanism, I think if it happen, it will happen. We will have a revolution in Iran.
Really, from your mouth to God's ears.
Believe me, the
Ouch.
new Iranian year is not something that, and it's not Persian year, people. It's Iranian year. It belongs also to Kurds, Baluchis, Gilakis, Azeris. They celebrate it also. Um, the new Iranian year, which it will be like March, I think. Islamic regime will be not there. It's not there.
I really hope you're right.
It's not about hope,
I
Matthew.
hope
The
so.
system doesn't work. It's like Soviet
No,
Union,
but it doesn't
you know?
work. But this is where my trepidations come in because, for example, every time it's gotten close, somebody has come in and fucked it up. Okay.
Mm.
Israel was on the verge. They had more flights on their way there, and Trump came said, "No, turn your planes around now." Why? Let them finish the fucking
That was a
job.
good move.
I think it was a terrible move.
It was a really,
I
really
was
good move.
so pissed off. You have
It
no
was a
idea.
really, really, I am, and I will remain a huge, huge praiser is the right word, man. Admirer of the 12-day war and the way that IDF acted wonderful, just killing, I mean, avoiding as much as possible any civilian harm, not
Yeah,
bombing infrastructures, you know. it was in it was genius, thank
yeah.
to them, and I bet my whole political credit for that, because I was bragging, you know, in the meantime. If it was fucked up, I was like not here anymore. People, they were like, tell me traitor, but I've promised, I've relied on IDF and they didn't let me down. And I think, but still, I think that move from Trump was so good and on time,
Why?
because it could go to an escalation that we couldn't, you know, predict the future of it. And believe me, wars have traumas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you think that it was a measured response, like we went in, we did what we needed to do, and in terms of taking out the scientists and the nuclear reactors, or at least damaging them, and now we have to stop because there's going to be an opportunity in the future that's more makes some more sense. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you can't
Excuse me.
throw down, no, it's fine. Throw down the regime with only war. You can weakening it, but you can't throw it out. You know, and it's up to the people. And yeah,
Absolutely. No,
you know,
yes, I agree. It's up to the people. But I think that what the IDF was doing was they were damaging so much of the regime and IRGC infrastructure. And had they continued just a little bit and taken out more of that infrastructure, the people would have had a fighting chance to fight. That was how I
no.
felt.
You know why? Because we had 2 points. First of all, it could be, you know, the kind of scenario in the first days. After it, people were under so much pressure. You know, 10 days of war. What the fuck is happening? And especially in Tehran, especially. I mean, like other cities, they were not that much, you know, problematic. Although that Azerbaijan, Kurdistan in Iran, and other parts, they were also engaged. But Tehran was a huge madness, as far as
Yeah.
I've heard about it. And people were under pressure. And additional to that, Islamic regime is like a dog. They were
It is.
becoming wilder and wilder, you know? And the only thing that they had and deterrence, military deterrence power was their ballistic missiles, which they could hit Israel. And you have to consider Israel is like the Iran is like 50 times, I think, bigger than Israel, something like
Yeah,
that. So these motherfuckers had this advantage, and Israel has this disadvantage. Israel is not a land that they can handle a long time war, like war, total war. You know,
yeah,
they can't. And these motherfuckers don't care about civilians. They did hit like hospitals.
yeah.
So, you know,
I was
these
there. I remember. Oh, it's
shit.
crazy.
So you see, so I think it was the best choice to make for Israel and also Iranian people. But I hope that snapback mechanism will be activated completely in 20 days. That will be a huge parameter that these motherfucker European governments they will remain silent, you know, for the first time in the history, you know, and you can see with the deal, Gaza, Israel Gaza deal, actually, you could see that they didn't have any kind of influence on it. Trump made it. And
Yeah, I
even,
actually was very, that was very interesting to me because they kind of were left in the dark about
yeah,
it, which was fascinating to me because
and it's good for us as
it's
an
good for,
Iranians.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
good for Iranians. Valley. It's also, it worries me because, you know, they've spent the last, I don't know how many years trying to say that they're the head of the snake, right? They're the most important, they're the most powerful. And this past 6 months, year, whatever, they have been rendered less and less significant by everything going on, right? The war, the 12-day war showed the world after all of their talking for 40 years that they can bomb Israel and this and that and do whatever it is that they're going to do. They looked like idiots. Okay.
All
And now
those
that this peace
nostalgic
plan,
F-14 that got bombed. Oh my God, they were unique. These motherfuckers, even they couldn't, you know, like do a one takeoff with F-14s. You know how many years they were pushing this propaganda in our schools that we have F-14. Motherfucker, the era is now about F-22 Raptor,
yeah,
F-35. What the hell are you talking about?
it's crazy. And now to think that their own attack dog, Hamas, made a
Yeah.
deal without them, their own attack dog, the Houthis, shut up. Their own attack dog, the Hezbollah, is completely brought to their knees. So they look crazy. They look stupid. They look weak. And what scares me is when they look weak, they're going to start taking it out on Iranians,
They
which
are
we've
doing
seen
it. They've
happening.
executed like in the last months the 1,000 people in
It's
Ghazal
insane.
Hisar. In Ghazal Hisar tonight, it will be the third. I've covered it on my Instagram with the stories, and I mean that much. That's the maximum thing I can do, unfortunately, you know. And it will be the third night that they are on hunger strike, as a protest to they in Qizil Hisar right now, Iran, prison in Tehran, they are like taking people with the number like 10, 15 for execution right now, right now. I mean, it's madness. They were always, you know, looking at to the people of Iran to, you know, just satisfy this wildness of themselves, you know, and they are
Yeah,
doing it still.
they're doing it. And I think they're doing it. They snap back. They, you know, the less control they have in the world, the more they try to tighten their grip on within Iran. And that's the part that
Mm.
really is, it's just awful. There's no word to describe how awful it is.
Exactly like Hamas. Do you see that? After one
They're
less
the
than
same.
24.
The two sides of the same coin. Exactly two sides of
Bravo.
the same
Yeah.
coin. One is Shia, one is Sunni. That's the only difference. Uh, yeah. I mean, it's just it's that concerns me. So I hope you're right, and I hope that by Nowruz, they're gone, and
We have then other problems, but believe me,
it
they will
will
be
be.
gone.
It's not going to be easy. Yeah.
Yeah, really. But you know, the my generation, not just my generation, the people in Iran, and also I've talked to that 60% of them, they are democratic, they are, you know, modern enough. So I'm not talking about Z generation, I'm talking about the kind of average Iranians. And also additional to that, you people like Natalie, like you, and it's as I told you, it's fascinating that you didn't even see Iran. but you feel this connection in your heart. And this gives me hope that we can make it, and whether we recognize it as a fact or not, I don't care. But believe me, people, Iran always had big influence of the world, whether negative or positive. So we are an important country, important identity, and I think we can go we can establish democracy for the first time in our history. That's what I want.
So
In the
from
name
your
of
heart.
Jina,
Yeah.
woman life freedom till end of the road. Fuck
Amini
yeah.
Khuda.
Bo umid
Amini
Khuda.
Khuda.
I'm atheist actually, but in this
Oh,
time
it's
I will tell with you
okay.
that what's it called, with the hope of God. Bo
Yeah.
umid Khuda is in Persian.
Yeah.
Perfect. Matthew, do you have anything to
Um,
say for the last parts? Tell
No,
me.
just thank you so much for having me, and it's such a pleasure and an honor. And I hope we talk again soon. I want to hear more about your story. And thank you. And thank you
Thank
for all
you,
the
man.
incredible work that you're doing.
You too, you too. I mean, that at the beginning I said that how much I praise your work and your voice, and I think your political identity is so unique, and you have to work on it. And bro, come on, that's a hell of a combination. Jew,
Thank you.
queer, and also Iranian. You're something influential for us, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy to have people like you. And as I told you, you're also a part of the hope that I have. So
Yeah,
keep it up. And sometimes we don't know, but we give hope to each other, even if we don't
absolutely.
say it to each other. Love you, man. Love you. So we will go on donation. People, if you want to support me financially, that's the best way. That means better equipments, and faster editing. And I also look at other podcasts and also other videos. Navid on the ground. There is also a playlist on my YouTube. I'm going to face these pro pallies. The third episode will come also. And yeah, so if you want to know me more, you can come to the podcast also. And please, financial support is the huge the biggest and huge contribution, but also share, like, subscribe, and also your beautiful comments are also so appreciated to me. We will go for the outro music, and thank you again, Matthew. Lovely, and thank you for your time, man. Love you.
Been a pleasure.